Hello and welcome to week 4 of Introduction to Early Childhood Education. So hopefully you've gotten into the groove of how to navigate this online course as well as how to be a good time manager, since an online course does require you to be much more independent. But hopefully you're enjoying the content so far, as each week is something new and different, which hopefully is keeping you interested. So last week, as we were looking at inclusion, defining young children, I hope that you have had the chance to get started on the inclusion project. I hope that you are appreciating that assignment, because I just think it's so important that as early childhood educators that we are making sure that we're using best practices as we are trying to maintain inclusive classrooms, and that means building relationships with children, with families, with outside resources, and that really is the main purpose of that assignment. So this week we're going to move into kind of probably the heaviest chapter that you're going to read in this textbook, because it is the one that deals with the different theories of early childhood education. So I will give you advance notice that it is a long chapter, so take your time going through it. Do not try and do it all in one sitting, because it's a lot of information with a lot of names. Now, the reason that we spend the time to talk about the different theories of early childhood education is because we need to see where we came from to see where we are now. We need to see which theories have proven the test of time, which ones have maybe not stood the test of time, but maybe parts of it were adapted into another theory. And that's normally how theory works. The reason we have so many is because people continually take bits and pieces from a theory that already was established, but then add to it based on their own beliefs and based on their observations and experiences. So there's a lot of names in this chapter, and some of the names that are mentioned were actually mentioned in some of our earlier chapters, such as Pestalozzi and Froebel, and so we're going to revisit those this week. So I wanted to show you what I have for you in Blackboard this week, and also introduce your next assignment. So you need to read chapter 4, review the PowerPoint slides, but the other thing that I did was I put a couple of videos in here. Because there are so many names, I thought that being able to watch a video about them will help it stay in your mind. So if you go to this folder that says Developmental Theories Videos, you're going to find 3 different videos. So the first video deals with those early theorists. Now, they are addressed in this chapter, but not focused on as much as the later theorists. But it's important for us to see that historical foundation. So this first video deals with Locke, Rousseau, Pestalozzi, and Froebel. The second video deals with the more common, more current theories in early childhood education, which includes Piaget, Vygotsky, Skinner, Erickson, and a few others are also mentioned, like Giselle. And Freud are mentioned in this one as well. And then, because neither one of these videos really covered Montessori, I did think it was important, especially since she was also discussed in one of the earlier chapters, that you have an opportunity to see what her theory is about. But I know that sometimes just reading the information can be difficult, especially it's just a long chapter. So hopefully the videos will kind of help you out a little bit. So then you're going to begin working on your next assignment. So one of the things you're going to notice is you do not have a discussion board this week, because you are going to be finishing up your inclusion project and starting on the theorist PowerPoint. I really wanted you to spend time on those assignments. So all you have to do for your participation this week is make sure that you have logged into Blackboard. I am able to see the last date that you accessed Blackboard. So as long as you log on at some point during the week, then you'll get your full participation points. And I'm going to do that a couple of times through the semester, especially when it's more assignment heavy, because I want you to spend the time working on the assignments as opposed to the discussion board. So For this assignment, what you're going to be doing after you've read chapter 4, after you have reviewed the PowerPoint, and after you've watched the videos, is you're going to be creating your own PowerPoint. Now, if you have never worked with PowerPoint before, I have made a template for you that you can just work directly from. But PowerPoint is very similar to Microsoft Word because it is a Microsoft application. So that means that your menu is going to stay the same. But really what I'm asking you to do is to start to synthesize and apply the information about the theorist. Because as I said, there's a lot of them. But you need to start figuring out what you believe about how children learn, what the role of teachers are in the classroom. So there are 3 different areas that you're going to address, and I'll show you the template just so that you can kind of see how I have it set up. But the first is going to be, why is it important that we have these developmental theories for early childhood education? This really is not your opinion. This information is going to be found in your chapter. And your own thoughts are going to be backed up by what is said in the chapter. Then what I want you to do is pick the 3 theorists that really stood out the most to you. You agreed with them the most. You could see yourself implementing their theoretical views in your classroom. So there is a slide for each theorist that you choose. So you need to tell me why you chose that particular theorist and how you would use that in your classroom. And then finally, how are you going to make sure that your own personal theory is recognizable in the classroom? So I give an example here. If you support Vygotsky's theory, then you might say that you're going to allow children to experience learning on their own, but you're going to be there to help them through their zone of proximal development. So really, this is the application piece. This is where you're saying, once I've determined what my own theory is, and it could be bits and pieces from several different theorists, this is how I'm going to make sure that it's recognizable in my classroom. And again, make sure you have a title page, which I already have on the template for you. Please make sure you check your spelling and your grammar. And you are welcome to have creative license with this. So feel free to add graphics and add music and add videos. But if you are not comfortable and just want to complete the assignment, then that's totally fine as well. I just didn't want you to feel like you were stuck having to use the really bland template that I came up with. So if you click on the template, you're going to see that it's going to bring up the PowerPoint for you. And again, if you want to start with the template and then make changes as you go, that's totally fine. Just make sure that you've answered all parts of the assignment. So in the PowerPoint, I have already created the slides to make sure that you have not forgotten anything. So here's your title page. Just make sure to put your name on there. Here's where you can discuss why it's important to have developmental theories for early childhood education. And then I've got the 3 slides for the different theorists. So here's where you're going to discuss your first theorist, your second theorist, your third theorist, and then how are you going to apply, how are you going to make sure that your personal theory is recognizable, and then finally we have the conclusion. So make sure if you do use any sources that you create a reference page so that you can cite those sources. That is always important and it's good practice to get into. But this assignment is due at the end of week 6, so you have a couple of weeks to work on it. So I just want to make sure that you had the assignment in plenty of time and you understood how you were supposed to do it. So again, in this week, there's no discussion board. Just make sure that you log into Blackboard. Make sure that your inclusion project gets submitted by midnight on Sunday, and have fun working with the Theorist PowerPoint. So have a great week, and I will see you in week 5.